No matter what you do, you can't shift those pounds. You feel frustrated and uncomfortable in your own skin, and it's making you self-conscious.
It seems impossible to make a change, but as experts in midlife health and happiness, we're going to share 10 reasons you're not getting the results you want, and some of them are bound to surprise you. Hi, I'm James Davis.
And I'm Claire Davis.
We're the Midlife Mentors, here to lift the lid on how to achieve health and happiness.
The balanced, no-nonsense way.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Midlife Mentors with me, James.
And me, Claire. Sometimes James calls it an edition and sometimes he calls it an episode. It just depends on how he feels on the day.
And maybe a chapter, Claire.
Maybe a chapter. The sun's just come out here in Marbella, so we're all cheery and chipper.
We are.
Before we go into what we're going to talk to you about today, we just wanted to say a massive thanks to everyone that responded to last week's podcast around feeling lost. It was obviously really hit a nerve in a good way, in the fact that lots of people said it really resonated with them, and the tips that we gave were really helpful to shifting them out of that feeling lost stage. It's absolutely fine to feel that way, but obviously we don't want to stay there, and apparently those 5 tips really did help lots of people. So if you haven't listened to that yet, we do urge you to go back because apparently it was incredibly helpful.
Yeah, we got so much lovely feedback on that episode. Like Claire said, it obviously hit a chord. I mean, these are tricky times, trying times for a lot of us. So if you are feeling lost and you haven't listened to that yet, do go back and check it out, please.
Absolutely. So, Mr. D, what are we talking about today and why?
Well, it's a little bit of a recap because people come to us all the time. I always speak to a lot of people and they kind of talk to us about what they've tried, what they haven't tried. We're going to talk about the reasons you're not shifting the pounds. And in fact, the 10 most common reasons that we see or we hear from people. I mean, if this is what we've covered some of these before, it'd be useful, we thought, to just recap and talk about them again.
Yeah, we have covered them, but I don't think necessarily in one podcast episode. And also,
not in one chapter, Claire.
No, not in one chapter.
Not in one edition.
And I think it's really helpful to do this because some of these are incredibly surprising. You know, we share some of these out there in the world, and people are like, oh my goodness, I didn't think about that. I didn't think that might be a reason that I'm not shifting the pounds, or, you know, I have plateaus and all those sorts of things. So we are going to give you some of the ones that we've given you before, but actually maybe some you haven't even heard about yet or thought about. So,
tip number 1.
Let's get going. Tip number 1, reason number 1 of why you might not be shifting the pounds is because you are all or nothing. Now, this is pretty much everyone out there, guys.
We suffer from this as well, don't we, Claire, if we're being honest?
Yeah, it's that whole all or nothing. I think creating balance in our life is really important, and realising that, you know, 80% of the time, as long as we're doing what we need to do in order to live healthy and happy, that's great, and 20% in the rest of the time, not so much. But what we tend to do as human beings is flip-flop from one thing to another. So, you know, I give this example of, you know, 1 minute you're eating 800 calories a day and the next you're eating 2,000 calories a day. 1 week you're eating nothing but lettuce, and the next week you say, screw it, and you have 3 takeaways. It's this all or nothing flip-flopping around that we see all the time. So your body's in a constant state of feast or famine, basically. And when you're doing that, your body thinks it's in scarcity when you're eating such little amount. So when you are eating normally, or gorging, which is that whole kind of human nature of this all or nothing thing, you end up holding on to the energy, i.e. the body fat, in case you starve yourself again. So that's why you end up holding on to the pounds, call them lockdown pounds, especially what everyone's been experiencing recently. But that might be the reason you're not shifting, is because your body doesn't know where it's at. And here's the thing, as you're aging, your metabolic rate is naturally slowing down anyway, and with this behaviour, it's making it even worse because you're taking it into that feast and famine thing all the time.
Yeah, and it's not just about the food either, is it, Claire? It can also be, we see this, people coming to us with the training side as well. You know, they'll do this thing of like just beasting themselves for like 4 weeks solid, but then obviously overtraining, feeling really fatigued and tired, and then you think, oh, you know what, I'm just going to veg on the sofa for a week. You also see it again, I think, with the mindset stuff. People saying like, I need to get into a better state of mind. They'll be like, I'm going to meditate for 3 hours every day and do this and do that. And then eventually it gets too much. It's a really tricky tightrope to walk, but we'd say like you need to find that like 80-20 rule. So 80% of the time, you know, be on point, do the stuff that's moving you forward, makes you feel good, eating healthily. Other 20% of the time, you know, enjoy. I think if you go to one extreme or the other, it's never going to be good news.
No, and it's about consistency. And here's the thing, we're in a world now of quick fixes. We might touch on this a little bit later, but we're in this world of quick fixes. So you're thinking, oh, you know, I'm trying this fad diet because I'm really fed up with the way I'm feeling and I'm feeling uncomfortable in my body. So that's what you do. You end up really, really restricting your calories. Then you realise you can't live like that for long because you can't, because it's too restrictive and life is too short. So then you end up flipping the other way and your body is in this constant flux and you're crashing your metabolic rate down onto the floor when it's, you know, lowering anyway as we're aging. So that is a massive, massive factor for you keeping hold of those lockdown pounds that you might put on.
Yeah, so find the balance.
Find the balance.
Tip 2 is you are not doing resistance training. Now, this doesn't have to mean that you are pumping iron in the gym. But it is really important, particularly for midlifers. Listen, as we age, we naturally lose muscle mass due to the hormonal and physiological changes occurring in our body. So we're losing our strength, we're losing muscle mass. Muscle is metabolically active, so the more muscle we lose, the lower our metabolic rate. The lower our metabolic rate, if we're eating the same amount, we're likely to be overeating. So of course, that extra energy we're ingesting is going to be laid down as fat. So you need to be resistance training at least twice a week if you're doing full body. But like I said, it doesn't have to be the gym. It could just be some body weight stuff. Lots of our clients will train with just like resistance bands, a couple of kettlebells. You know, it's really important to do it though, because not only for keeping the fat off, obviously when you're training with weights, when you're doing resistance training, you're burning a lot of calories, but also adding that muscle is going to increase your metabolic rate and you're preserving your muscle mass and your strength as you age, which is what we want, because we want quality of life.
Exactly. So cardio alone ain't going to cut it out there. You've got to do both. And here's the thing, it's not only about kind of having that metabolically active muscle, but you're also going to get a stronger, leaner looking body and you're going to be preserving your bone density. So again, absolutely, this is another reason that you might be not able to lose those extra pounds is because you are not doing resistance training. Number 3, your portion sizes are out of whack. Now, we see this all the time. Yes, you may be eating healthy food, but what about the amount you're eating? So, many people eat mindlessly. We're just rushing around all the time. We're not thinking about what we're eating. So we're eating mindlessly, shoveling way more on our plate than we actually need. And then also we forget about those other little bits and pieces that we don't account for, like the lattes, the little chocolate here and there, the handful of nuts here and there. And it's really, really important. One of the massive game changers we have seen in our own life, but also with clients, is educating people on what they're even eating. So bringing awareness to those extra calories they might be consuming in the day that they're not even aware of because you're doing other things, stressing around, sitting at your desk, picking at things. So that's why it's a really, really good tactic. What we get our clients to do is take photos of what they're eating, because a visual representation of their portion sizes, yes, they might be eating healthily, but a visual representation of their portion sizes is a real opener.
Yeah, and we educate people basically to use different parts of your hand for the portion sizes of different
Sounds
things.
Funny.
How much protein should I have? How much healthy fat? How much carbohydrate? It's a game changer because we never want people to be like counting calories and counting their macros. So the hand size thing is a really useful, quick way to get it broadly right. And we're all for like, get it broadly right and make life easy rather than getting obsessed with it all.
Yeah, exactly.
And what we said about portion size actually reminds me, we touched on it on the Controlling Cravings podcast, some of the research out there of we're programmed to overeat, basically, because we come from a hunter-gatherer background. So
I was talking to someone about this yesterday, actually. I was fascinated.
Yeah, it's like I'm on the C-plan diet. If I see it, I eat it. We are programmed to eat what's in front of us. And there's loads of like psychological experiments on this that basically the bigger the plate and the more food you put on it, we tend to eat by what's in front of us rather than necessarily by the portion side, i.e. what we nutritionally need. So learning those portion sizes and the correct ratios of different proteins and carbs and fats is really helpful for making sure that you're not overeating, and that's where you can start to really initiate some powerful change.
Yeah, it really is interesting though. So just before we go on to the next thing, is everyone says, I eat healthily. Yeah, so well, not everyone says that, but we'll have people say, I eat healthily, and it's true. They could be eating healthily, but their portion sizes are massive. Yeah. So just be really, really super aware of that, because that could be another reason. Just
I was a side note on that. I have mentioned this one before. Like research was done into the average Sunday roast, I think from the 1940s through to now, and they had photo representations of it. But I think in the 1940s, and I'm getting this not quite right, but it was like one slice of beef, like 2 potatoes, a tiny Yorkshire pudding, and a little bit of veg, and then all the way through getting bigger. I think like now, the classic gastropub Sunday roast, like a mound of roast potatoes, 2 Yorkshire puddings. I think the calorie differential was like the old Sunday roast was something like 400 calories, and now it's like more like 3,000 or something ridiculous. So just the size of the plate and what you put on it is going to make a big difference.
Massive difference.
I think we're on tip 4 now.
Are we? Yes.
Eating a large meal too late. I'm going to add in there and too often. So listen, a big dinner every now and again is not going to make a difference in the scheme of things. But if you are consistently eating big meals late at night, it is going to make a difference to your body fat. And again, there's plenty of research backs this up. They're taking groups of people, fed them identical calorie amounts, got them doing identical calorie outputs. But some have had their calories loaded in the first half of the day, some at the back half, and the group that had them loaded in the first half always will lose more body fat. It's because, obviously, think about it, when we eat food, that food's converted to energy. Energy that we don't use is what gets laid down as body fat. So if we're taking in a lot of energy, like late in the day and going to bed, it's more likely to be used laid down as body fat than if we were to take it on early in the day and have all day to burn it off.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think also this is a complete game changer for people, is just moving their dinner. I know it's difficult with family, and actually I think could have been, correct me if I'm wrong out there, but it was probably a lot harder when potentially your partner was coming home from work later and you were cooking different meals at different times of the day. With all lockdown and working from home, we do see our clients are able to shift their meal a little bit earlier in the evening. So, going and eating like a really, really carb heavy meal at like 8 o'clock at night it's not going to help at all with shifting those pounds at all. And also another point on this is if you eat so late or too late, your digestive system actually is increasing your overall body temperature, and that's going to really impair a decent night's sleep as well. So it's another reason not to eat too late. At least try and eat about 3-4 hours before you go to bed.
Yeah, it's interesting because most of us actually eat in the reverse order to what we should be doing. So we tend to get up, we'll have like a light breakfast, like a bowl of cereal or some toast, then, grab a lunch on the go, and then finally having our main meal at night. When actually, remember, it's like breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper is the way we should be doing it.
Absolutely. So, number 5. Love this one. This is what it's all about. If you do not get this one right, it doesn't matter what you do. And this is, you don't believe you can. So, you don't believe you can lose the pounds, be in the body that you deserve, be healthy, be vibrant, and stay there. It's because you don't believe you can. Honestly, this is the biggest one of all. You can diet, you can exercise, you can manage stress levels, you can take the vitamins, but if you are identifying as someone who can't maintain a healthy weight, someone you know, if you're basically identifying with someone that is all or nothing and that you've never been able to do this, and you're identifying with someone that's a size 18 or a 20, not the size 14 that you want to be, you know, if you're identifying with someone that's got a sweet tooth and always reaches for alcohol as a reward, for example, you're never ever going to be able to outperform that, because that is your own self-identity locking you into that behaviour. So it's all about who you believe yourself to be. And you've got to look at the root cause of your self-sabotaging behaviour, your unhelpful habits, your lack of body confidence, and then go about reprogramming your mind. So this is the biggest one of all. It's about your self-identity, lovely people out there. It's about whether you believe you can achieve all this as the ultimate. This is why we say it's 80% mindset, 20% doing.
Yeah, and this is really like I'd say the key component of the program that we run. You know, people come to us for physical results, of course, and nutritional coaching, and they do get results, but time and time and again, the people are like, it is the mindset work. It is looking at my self-beliefs, looking at my self-identity that actually makes sustainable changes for life.
It's about believing. It's absolutely right. And, you know, we see this so much. I've seen it in our own lives. You know, absolutely. We struggle with this. You know, every time you want to go to a next level in your life, you have to look at whether your self-identity and who you believe you are is in line with that. And if it's not, it's that bit that you're going to have to change. You can do everything around that. Do all the actions you could ever want to in the entire world. But nothing can be outperformed from that self-identity you have about yourself. And once you start to shift that, the magic really, really begins to happen. So that's a massive one. If you don't believe you can be the healthiest, happiest version of you in a body that feels comfortable and strong, and that you're in control of your health and happiness, then you won't be. True story, Dad. Next one.
Tip number 6. Drinking too much. Now, I don't mean like waking up on the sofa with 2 empty bottles of Johnny Walker next to you, although that's obviously not helpful to your overall body gains. But I mean, the small...
It wasn't for you years ago, was it, James?
It's the small amounts consistently, you know, day after day. The glass of wine every day after work, the glass of beer. You know, it's called beer belly and wine waste for a reason. You know, listen, we love a drink, but you know, it's the 80-20 rule. If you're doing it consistently, we see this so much time when clients come to us. You know, the diet could be on point, even the movement side of it, the training can be on point, but they've got this habit of like 1-2 glasses of wine every night. And until you can start to like wind that back down, you're not going to see the results that you want to see, because you know, alcohol is high in sugars. It's got a number of metabolic effects that basically mean if you are consistently drinking small amounts, you are way more likely to be storing fat, and not just from the extra calories you're consuming.
No, exactly. And let's not, I mean, we're going to go on to this in a minute actually, but let's not kid ourselves. It is a depressant. It does lower your mood. It lowers your immune system. It's fine to have the odd drink. We've done a whole podcast on this just a few weeks ago. But it's fine to have a drink at the weekends. But like James said, when it becomes like that 1 glass of wine a night because we're stressed and we're overwhelmed and all the things that have really ramped up in the last year, you know, it can really, really hinder you losing those pounds. No matter what you're doing, eating healthily, whatever, those are empty calories, and they really, really begin to add up.
They certainly do.
Massively. So, next one. What's this one?
Number 7.
Number 7. Should have numbered these, really, shouldn't I? Actually, on our little notes.
Well, luckily one of us can count, Claire.
Luckily, I did all the work around this. No, I'm joking. You are not doing the mindset rep. So, we've kind of touched on this about not believing you can in your self-identity. But honestly, if you do not stay consistent with putting in the reps with your emotional and mental well-being, we're talking, you know, all the things we've talked about in all of our podcast episodes before, the gratitude, the setting the intention, the creating your space in the morning and your intention, and allowing yourself to you know, shut out that outside noise when you wake up and just really center yourself, and all those things, meditating. If you're not doing those mindset reps, it is going to really, really hinder you physically, because your body hears everything your mind tells it. So, we talk a lot about affirmations, and we've done a whole podcast on inner critic. The inner critic is going to really, really go against what you want to achieve physically, not just kind of body goals, but actually in life just generally. Your inner critic really needs to be learned how to dance with. But if you're not doing those mindset reps and really putting the effort in to be consistent with them every single day, even when you don't want to do them, because they're the hardest things to do, right? We always say this. Actually, if you change your diet, you reduce your alcohol a little bit, you do all the things we've actually talked about, but you are not doing this mindset rep stuff, and you're not doing it consistently because you can't always see that it's really helping and really benefiting you, you will in the end begin to really, really understand the negative impact that's having on your body, because your body does hear everything your mind is saying. If you're saying, you can't make this work, you always fall off the wagon, you're all or nothing, you haven't got the motivation to not have a drink tonight, guess what? Your body is going to respond to it. Absolutely going to respond to it.
Totally. And it's such a big one, and it's the bit that so many people ignore. We call it ignoring the internal work and only doing the external.
We've done this. It is really, really hard, because you can do all this physical stuff and you can see the change happening potentially in your body, feel it. But the mindset stuff, it just slowly starts to build. I suppose I hate this word at the moment, but I suppose a resilience, an emotional and mental resilience, where actually you realise that you're dealing with situations in a different way. You're understanding the things that you can control and the things that you can't control. And that actually, that inner critic can be worked with, and you can actually start speaking to yourself in a really positive way that starts changing the external as well. Energetically, if you're doing those gratitude lists, if you're doing those affirmations, you will honestly start to see the outside world start responding in a really positive way to you.
Absolutely.
And your body. And your body.
Tip number 8. Following bad science. Now there's a few parts to this. We've got all the fad diets, and those of you that follow us know we hate the fad diets. Things that send you spinning into a massive calorie deficit and then crash your metabolism, leave you miserable, have you gain more weight, gain back on. The influencer workouts, the ripped thighs in 13 days,
that was amazing.
6-pack in 6 days, all these things. And suddenly you're being sold all these false hopes, and we get it. You want the results fast, so you're like, I'll try this.
I've got to say this one, the one that I'm seeing everywhere at the moment, ketone pills, and also skinny coffee that helps you burn fat more quickly and gets you into ketosis after one drink and will help raise your metabolic rate. I mean, it's just really upsetting for people that really do understand the science behind things to see people buying into all of that, because you might as well just pour your money down the drain.
Exactly. And that's kind of the surface level stuff, the fad diets, the fad workouts. But then the other side of it is not understanding the midlife body and the science you need there to understand, how you should be working it, when, how to fuel it around those workouts, when to be resting it and recovering it, all those things as well. Which is why people get so mixed up and just get bad results. So, following bad science is a big one. Don't go for fads, whether that's diets or workouts, and get proper advice, programming, mentorship, coaching, whatever. So you working in tune with your body
and making it last. Because these fad fancy things that you're going after, if you know why things are happening, you're more invested in the change. When you understand and you're educated, you invest in the change. And it's long-term and sustainable. So please don't follow the bad science. I'm going to get off my high horse now. Number 9.
Oh, this is a big one.
Yeah, you're stressed. So we often see clients plateau when they've had an enormous amount of stress in their lives, which is pretty much all midlifers, to be honest. But at some stage, that cortisol, your stress hormone cortisol, is spiking, and actually there is a link between high cortisol levels and holding on to belly fat in particular. So really, really looking at your stress management techniques and tools to bring that stress levels down is really important for your physical goals that you're going after. So stress plays a massive role in you achieving your body goals or not.
Yeah, or I was going to say, or not.
Or
because
not.
It's such a hidden player as well. We're talking to someone the other day, and it's almost like stress has become normalised in some companies or parts of society, or even what we're going through now. Either we don't want to admit to it for appearing weak that we're feeling stressed, or we're at such a constant level of stress we don't even realise we are stressed. But of course, the hormonal stress response is still being triggered in the body. We're just not that aware of it.
Absolutely. And a flip side of that, actually, we see a lot as well, is people doing too much exercise. So this is, again, you might be doing too much. You might be stressing your body too much, putting too much stress on the central nervous system and upping the cortisol levels there and negating the very thing that you are trying to do. So
yes, tip 10 or reason 10 is you're lacking accountability.
This is massive as well.
This is massive. It's all very well to kind of get up one morning and go, oh, I want to be a size 10 in 6 weeks, or I want to lose X pounds, or yeah, whatever. But if you don't actually feel and connect with that goal in some way, make yourself accountable to it, i.e., set a proper plan with a goal. Ideally, share it, because there's lots of research around this. If you share your goal, you are much more accountable to it and much more likely to achieve it. And so we'd always recommend, have some kind of support mechanism around you, whether that is a workout buddy, whatever, or, get a mentor or get a coach who can help you with all of this stuff and keep you really, really accountable, and is also there as a cheerleader for you.
Yeah, this is a game changer. Well, here's the thing. We've seen this in our own lives, okay? I have James to help me stay accountable and motivated. I mean, I can do it myself now, right? But with the workout stuff, there are days, of course there are days, where I'm like, oh my goodness. Well, we shared on the podcast last week. James wants to say something funny.
I'm not going to say it.
No, don't say it. It would probably be improper. But, I shared some of the struggles.
Thinking all the names you called me. I haven't heard coach be one of them.
There it was. That took a little while longer to pop out of his mouth, didn't it, than we thought.
Trying not to use a rude word.
Oh. It's all right, they know us by now, hopefully. But yeah, I shared the struggles that I was experiencing on last week's podcast. And there are times, looking at James and I, thinking we're always motivated, always positive, always upbeat. It's just not true. And actually having James as that accountability buddy, whether it's for workout in our business or whether, really, really helps me. But some people don't have that. People don't have those people to share in a community or with a coach or a mentor. And it is a game changer for a lot of people. For those people to shine a light. It's like having that lighthouse when you don't know the way forward and you're confused, because it's a very confusing world out there. The whole world of health and wellness is incredibly confusing. So to have someone shining a light saying this is the way to go because we know this works and this is a path that's been trodden by this X person and this X person. You just need to follow this and just take a step forward all the time, consistently, and we've got your back. And I think having that level of love and support and compassion is a really, really, really big thing for a lot of people. And you're not getting that energy necessarily from the outside world so much anymore because of the way the world is. We're stuck in home, we're stuck between four walls, most of us, and we're seeing the same people over and over again. So we're not getting our energy and connection and sense of community. So it is a lot harder to stay motivated and stay structured. So I think, that might be, and also having the fridge monster right in front of you as well. That's a real, real strong point that we've seen with a lot of people since we've had lockdowns. It's nearly a year now, is people needing that support and accountability and a path that's been trodden before.
Exactly that. Now, if you would like more accountability in your life, then of course we're here for you. You can book a discovery call with us and we can help you to find out if you're a good fit to work with us. But also, this Saturday at 10 a.m. UK time, we'll be running another free workshop, basically talking about more in depth about some secrets for midlife health and happiness, how to ditch the dieting for good, how to feel more in control, more empowered, more confident, all without making big sacrifices in life, which is what our approach is all about.
Exactly. It's the secret sauce, as James always says. It's the magic thing that all approaches fail to address. So we're going to be revealing that in a workshop on Saturday, 10 a.m. UK time. I'll pop the link in the show notes. But as I said, James and I are always wanting to support you and make sure that you have the knowledge and the education of what's the right way for your midlife body to be healthy and happy and sustain it. So that's why we do these free workshops. And, you know, you just need to register. I'll pop the link in the show notes. Just register. You'll get a confirmation email. It's all happening on Zoom. It'll be probably about 45 minutes to an hour long. And we'd just love to see you there. Just come along, soak up all the knowledge and the passion and enthusiasm that we have. And just take these 10 tips away. Start basically asking yourself these questions. Are these things, you know, am I feeling frustrated? Am I plateauing? Am I not able to get the results that I want with my physical well-being? And ask yourself if you're making any of the mistakes, and then just start to try and shift them, given the advice that we've shared.
I hope you found that useful, and we are sending you so much love for the rest of the week and into the weekend.
Thank you so much for all your love and support, and we will see you really, really soon. Lots of love. Mwah.
Bye.